How's it going? Let's play. Break down the brittle aspect. You guys noticed over the last few years, people have kind of become more and more reactionary towards what's being posted, stuff in the news, even stuff when it comes to movie characters. So the whole aspect of triggering, I know I've hammered a lot on it, but I just kind of want to bring this aspect that the brittling of your mental aspects. You know, when you're constantly being told you need to react this way when this happened, or else you're that. When you're being forced to connect different dots, in a sense, instead of your own connecting of the dots. How do you say? It's kind of like been this. I called it multiple times this societally created mental illnesses. It's got a good ring to it. The brittling of your mind could be another aspect to it. I mean, there's so much to kind of dive into, but it's this sense where you're kind of being groomed and trained to be reactionary, to kind of not allow yourself to go to the full scope and spectrum of all information, and then have your gut reaction guide you through it. Now, gut reaction, some people might see it as too impulsive, but then let's go a bit further with this. There's a simple understanding that you might want to get, and that might make your life easier. And I say might because there's different levels to getting this. But let's begin. Whatever you don't necessarily want to apply to someone else, or someone else would apply to you. Let's say whatever you're thinking, okay, or directing or reacting, would you want someone else to do the same back to you with the same lack of context that you have on the exterior person? Meaning, do you know where they're born? Do you know what environment they were born in? Do you know what kind of people they were around with? Which then influences the kind of thoughts, the kind of traditions, the kind of logics, the kind of words, the kind of terminologies, all of that being linked. Okay? Do you know any of it? If you do, you are a psychic, because there is a granularity of second per second information and processing in there. We do have extrasensory senses, but we don't talk about this right now. You ain't ready for that buffet. If you're brittle, you ain't fucking ready. But still, we haven't gotten to this psychic level of clearly knowing this information. So, to make any kind of judgment and clear condemnation without understanding this is kind of inviting the same thing done onto self. Okay? Would you want someone else to do the same thing to you? Of course not. If a person doesn't necessarily understand or know your story, how you came to a certain point, how you came to a certain way of thinking, how you came to a certain perception, well, it would kind of sucks to be judged by them, right? So you don't necessarily want to do the same thing. Now, how do you grow your perception is by, again, not being brittle and having yourself opened up to multiple perceptions. Now, that doesn't mean to condone it, but it does mean to accept it. Bit of a difference, right? If it's tricky to get the difference, it's quite easy. You'll see. Condoning is like, yeah, this is right. I'm totally for that. Totally all in. Yeah, oh, go that. Accepting is understanding that it exists, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going, yeah, go this. You understand it. You accept it. You kind of understand how it got to be, or why it is, or that it is. Possibly all of them at the same time. Yet it doesn't mean that you're just going, yay, go that. See, this is where you kind of understand why media politics, this snappy little language, doesn't get into that nuances. And that's how we can easily get into conflict with each other, because we don't get into those nuances. We don't express them. So there's an automatic snap judgment of going, so you automatically are for this if you're not against it, which doesn't make sense. You've just got the example, right? But you need to make time to understand and go into those nuances, which the snap, 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 snap dialogue, the McDonald of thinking, which is media, doesn't go into. Same kind of goes for your favorite TV shows and your favorite movies. It's the limitation of the medium. It's got to sell. But you do understand that when you keep taking that mental McDonald, it doesn't give you a healthy mind, which keeps you in that brittle state of reactionary. If it is not 1, then it equals 0. Forgetting that there's some 0 point this, 0 point that, 0 point this. See what I mean? It's not that tricky. It's mostly because, hell, even to a certain degree, the school system doesn't really get into those nuances as well. You have the right answer and you have the wrong answer, and you are graded according to this or that. See how your brain is kind of trained into very linear, two-boxed, nuanceless labels type of deal? Video games to a certain degree do too. You win, you lose. Some of it will even give you a third option or a fourth option, but let's be real. There is a whole spectrum of nuances. At times you could even consider an infinity of possible nuances, okay? But you don't need to dive into the infinity as well. You just need to understand it, acknowledge it, and don't limit yourself to one box or another, which keeps you in the brittle aspect. Because if it's not one box, then it has to be the other. And the brain is formatted, I gotta react if it's this other box. That's simple. So you don't want to be caught in that, because it does lead to a miserable life. Literally. And oftentimes, we've kind of seen it recently. You know, the head in the sand type of complex, where it's like, no, I gotta follow the one narrative. I gotta follow the popular narrative. Well, not only now, but you've seen it in the past as well. Disastrous effects. Now it's reaching its absurdity level. But you can kind of see what does happen to certain people that just want to keep their head in the sand on the one option instead of looking at what could be in the middle. Why is there another option? Why could there be an opposition? You know, could there be credence to it? One quote recently came up with it. Hypnosis is a bitch. And that's the repetition of that one information, that one science, that one way of seeing things, that one religion, that one popular message. It causes hypnosis. The subconscious, just like Santa Claus, doesn't bat an eye, doesn't make the difference. So this is where you get, or you bring that aspect of compassion, always. Yet, noticing this, you don't want to fall into that kind of simplicity of thinking. You see the negative effects, you see the negative results that happen that way. You've seen how it happened in history too, and it never leads to an aspect of unity. So there's always a middle ground, always, and it can be formed. And also you have seen what happens when even your leaders do not consider a middle ground. Ooh, not really evolution material at all. So, hey, we're in a period where more and more of it comes out because it's becoming more obvious. And also that kind of energy, it's gotta go. It's an inevitability. Evolution takes its toll. And it also fosters unity because, again, we're all born the same damn way. This is why it all starts to wrap up and make sense. Not to judge, not to criticize each other, just to get to this point of understanding, having that compassion. But that doesn't mean to condone it and to go, yeah, you're definitely doing great going this one way and sticking this one way and dragging people or forcing people along that narrative. Yeah, you're doing great. Of course not. And like said, evolution takes its tone. Yes, there are unfortunate casualties. Definitely. That's the part where you get that compassion. You understand the unfortunate casualties. You understand how it is, how it happens, how herd mentality leads to that. Especially in this brittle mental state that we have right now, you know? Gotta get offended at each and every little thing. Gotta see my personal story in movie characters, which will never truly represent you at all. Seriously. Movie characters are surface level basic bitch type of like shaving of the iceberg when it comes to what a human being is. So to have people fight over that is, again, it shows the absurdity of this brittle mindset, you know, that again we've been led to. Hey, not pointing fingers and saying fault on you, shame on you. Fuck that. There's been a nice little brainwashing campaign that's been done to lead people there. Fucking A. So it's about getting this. It's about understanding this. And when you do, it's like, oh, right, that's just it. You know, you don't get caught in those squabbles. You don't... Like, these little squabbles have no importance in your life. You can kind of look back and just laugh at how it used to be when you were stuck in that, you know? I still laugh about the gaming years that I had, getting angry at a video game studio for doing a shit representation of my characters. Making parodies of it is fun, though. So, it's having fun with it, but not taking it serious. See, there's some nuance to it. It's not being like, fuck them for doing this. My day is ruined, you know? And then having your whole day completely ruined by your own perception. Manipulated perception, but still your own perception. So, when it becomes clear, much clearer, okay? Without judging yourself, because again, nice little brainwashing job. All right, nice little brainwashing job. Ooh, that was like subtle, very subtle, okay? But at this point, it's so obvious now. Brush it off. It's old energy. You gotta let it go. It's like getting angry at a newspaper. Some people used to do that. Some people used to challenge the journalist to a duel, 10 pace, and we do it at pistols. Wow. Talk about some brittle ass bitches. But those were the times, right? Now we're getting to a point where it's like, oh, okay, well, that doesn't make sense. Who am I to just guess your opinion out of nowhere and completely judge your life and the entirety of your being based on that phrase or sentence or that article or that comic or that YouTube video or whatever I heard someone else said about you that you said. It's like, right? Makes no fucking sense. Makes no sense how my day ruined because of that too. It just takes an amount of time to think. And yeah, you're completely right. This fast-paced society where it's like go, 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 quick, 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 go, 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 quick, quick, quick. Where you do your 9 to 5, whether it's school or job. And then you got to go back home. And then you got to check what's on your phone. And then you got to check your notification. And then, you barely get time to think about that. So that's another thing to balance out as well. But take the time. Do you. Okay? Take that time. No distraction when it comes to that, okay? Sit down with your own thoughts and just break down the brittleness so that you just kind of, it's not an aspect of toughening up or reinforcing. It's just kind of like being at peace with it and understanding these nuances, you know, being able to process that deeper level of thinking so that it becomes normal for you, so that it kind of happens in a flash. See, you got to take the time to save time. You got to take the time to save time. But just like with anything that you start out, any kind of training, even when it comes to video games, you take that time to do the tutorial to then be able to perform at a regular pace and then even faster pace later on. Makes sense. Or else you're just going to keep hitting that wall. You're not going to be able to jump over that wall. So, you got this. It ain't that complex. Don't make it bigger than it is. Okay? Just acknowledge it. Take the time to reflect upon it. And look at the various perspectives and point of views on it. Okay? Then, you're going to be able to kind of just go, okay, based on everything that I got, what would I want applied to myself? Then push it out. And it's not forcing it. You'll see. There's some nuances to it, but you kind of get the gist of it, right? Don't want to be judged without context? Don't fucking do it. Don't want to be someone overreacting to whatever you say without any kind of context or nuance? Because, you know, text messages don't bring any of that shit. Well, then don't do it. Start voice messaging. Call people. You know, you become a bit more tactical, but it's not that complex. It just becomes natural. See what I mean? It's becomes simple. It's just take the time. This is a moment to slow down and not get into the brittled reactionary state anymore. Because fuck it. So you'll make the difference. You'll sense it and you'll feel much better in life. And you're also going to have much better encounters. It is remarkable the amount of things. If you play with law of attraction or quantum physics, you'll notice as you clear this stuff, you are literally getting into a different spectrum of living. It's fascinating. Truly fucking fascinating. I'm loving it. How simple it is, but you got to take the time. Anyway, enough anchoring of that. I hope I've been able to kind of help you move out of that brittle state. If there's any more questions, you can put them down in the comments. Also loving the interaction that's been going on Facebook, the DMs, direct messages, not Dungeon Masters, but the DMs have been really fun and there's some interesting back and forths going on. So it is cool. We're all in this together. We're all learning and we're all sharing our opinions, our perspectives, what we lived to the best that we can explain it without making it a 50-minute video. To the best that can be possible. But you got to be playful with it. So, hey, kick some asses. Have fun with this, all right? Let's play. Trying to end this video and then completely pressed on the wrong thing. You got to have fun with this. Soon getting some better tools.